We love dragons. We keep talking about them. Today we're going to go over a book from the series all about dragons. Let's explain. Hello, everybody. My name is Rob. This is my mom, Karen. And today we're talking about another dragon book. This one is one that I read last year. I'm going to go back and read it again. It was the first in the series. The series is known as The Memoirs of Lady Trent, and it follows a Victorian woman who actually ends up becoming a scientist for dragons. So the basis of the story is what if dragons were actually animals that you would study as a biologist would a dog, a cat, a bird, etc. So instead of it being a totally fictitious, just dragon, it's actually coming from the idea that these are animals that live in the world alongside everything else. Um,
Okay. Okie doke.
Interesting, right?
Yep.
So set the stage a little bit more about it. So we are in the 1800s, Victorian era, as I mentioned. We're thinking that kind of society, that kind of exploration, class structure, all that. Except, as I mentioned, dragons are a thing. Um, the idea comes from the main character, Isabella, who realizes nobody studies them as you would anything else. So she decides she's going to be the one to do it. Um, you're reading basically the adventures of someone young, I guess fairly reckless in terms of just diving into the dragon's den, theoretically or literally. Um, but you're looking at it through the older woman's tone, looking back at her experiences. Now, keeping in mind, this would be a time when women weren't in any of these
Right.
positions. So this definitely takes it to various levels. But it's an interesting idea. If you guys haven't read it, it's on Audible. It's in Libby as well. It's a great idea. It's a great story for those who like dragons, but maybe want a different version of it. So the first question I have for you, because I know what I would say, if dragons were real animals, would that be something cool to study? Or do you think you would just say, nope, I'm out. No, thank you.
Nope. I'm out. No, thank you.
Fair. I mean, it is kind of cool to think that this is something where they went out of their way to make this a
A
like
thing.
more of a true thing. You know,
Right.
this is
Right.
something like usually when you talk about a fantasy creature, it's in a very fantasy world. This person is from an era, a time of a real place, and she just goes about her business studying dragons. So I mean, I think that would be cool. I don't know how you would go about doing that,
Right.
but I think that would be pretty cool. And I know that you have read memoir style. I
Mhm.
have too. Does a book in that format make it more enjoyable, or does it make it more understandable because you're reading it as if it was somebody's journal or diary?
Uh, say that. I think. Wait. Does it make it more believable? Is that what?
Yeah, I mean, does it make it more of a, like, do you feel the danger? Do you feel the reality in it? Versus if it was just a regular book written as a fiction would
Yeah.
be written.
Okay. Now I understand. So I think memoirs are written to emote, to create an emotion, and to feel it rather than maybe a fiction or nonfiction. So I think actually that's a good thing, right? I like to feel my books. I know this sounds bizarre, but I like to have it make a feeling come out from it. I go make me cry or make me laugh or make me happy or make me sad. So yeah.
Well,
How
then
about
you
you?
will appreciate that the author is or was a former anthropologist and folklorist.
Mm.
So when she built this story, she built it from the viewpoint of a scientist using logic instead of
Oh, that's
pure
cool.
story. She wanted you to understand that, the taxonomy of a dragon, the nature of the dragon, basically, what would a naturalist or a biologist do if they were out in the field studying, think of any of the nature shows, and the
Right.
people who are talking about it. Those people are in the profession of studying nature.
Right.
So this author, being somebody who studied anthropology in this case, decided to make her main character a full-blown naturalist as one would, meet.
That's kind of cool, actually.
No, it is, and what I love about it is it doesn't have the perfect protagonist. The main character is reckless. She's very determined, she's very strong, but, somebody who's never done this before, if I was the first one to study dragons, I probably would jump into doing things that may not be the smartest thing to do because you've
Right.
never done it. So the protagonist is somebody that you believe you would be if you were starting a I don't know, a new job, right?
Right.
A man named John C. Hines, author of Libromancer, put it well. He said, "Lady Trent is the Jane Goodall
Ah.
kind." So I think that's enough said right there, right? I mean, that is,
Right.
uh,
Knowing that, as you now explained it, it was based in science, so to speak. If this was to be based in science, then that makes it I think a totally different thing. Then I would be interested, I think.
right, and I think because you have real world, information, the world building that you get definitely feels more real, even
Right.
though you're reading a fantasy, story.
Right.
Um And I think a good question here is, are do we have other books like this where you kinda have that slow pace, but at the end of it, you get this amazing revelation? And I think what works here is that because it's a series, and again, I think it would only make sense to be a series. If this was a one-off book, I
Mhm.
don't think it would have worked as well as just a single story. But, not a lot of books, I think, have that slow and then that big explosion. Yes, a lot of books have the, growing into the finale, but can you I can't think of one specifically that is comparable to this,
Mm-mm.
where it takes a long time to get through, and then when you get to the finale, you go, "Wow, that was actually worth
Yeah, I
all of
can't
the."
yeah. Normally, it's the other way around. You read the first book and it's awesome, and then you get to the second book in the series, not so much. And then right? It's not this is like
Yeah.
the opposite, totally the opposite.
I mean, the only one that I can kinda think, and it's not really the same idea, but like Herman Melville's Moby Dick, where there was a lot of, and that was just a one-off book, but like the entire story was basically flat. It was just a lot of talk. Then when you get to the end of the book,
Yeah.
you may not be excited, but you're like, "Okay, all of this buildup led me to this."
I'm
So
actually, Rob, I'm considering reading this book after our conversation. It actually sounds fascinating. Um,
it is, and I think, and I've read the series, and as you, and we'll go through the other books, I'm sure, but as you go through each book, there's repetition, but you learn more about the main character Isabella as you go, which
mhm,
for me was more than enough to bypass the fact that every book was kind of more of the same because she grows,
mhm.
and as she grows, you kind of grow with her. So last part here, we always say, should you read it? Who is the book for? So, fans of people like Naomi Novik, who wrote the Terramare series, also mixes the history with, intelligence. This is going to be your perfect book.
Right.
If you're an Indiana Jones type of person and you like the adventure, this is going to be that perfect kind of book. There's a total of 5, so be aware that if you start with 1, it's not a long series, but each book, I think on audio was about, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 hours. It wasn't a long, but I mean, you're gonna get into it, so you're gonna have to give yourself the time. Um, I would say for those who don't like the mixture of the history, then this may not be for you, but I think a lot of times, at least nowadays, fantasy and real life
Yeah.
blended together are getting more popular than it might have once been.
Do you think because it's a little bit of escapism, in this world that we live in,
Yeah.
maybe?
I mean, I think, just like any good fantasy science fiction book, it gives you somewhere to go, and it gives you something to do, for a few hours during your day, so, you know.
No, it sounds pretty cool, actually. I can't believe I just said to you, I think I'm going to go read it. I think I am. Um, as we do at the end of each show. So go and visit the Next Chapter bookstore.shop. Say that 5 times fast. And check out books like this. I mean, there's lots of different books in there: fantasy, science fiction, romance, nonfiction, fiction, you name it. Go check out a book. It's gently used, means somebody else read it, and it's got some history behind it. And as Rob always likes to say at the end of
Read a
our
book.
show,
Go read a book.
go read a book.